This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Hey, it's me, Paige DeSorbo, and I'm so excited to share my new shoe collection at DSW, filled with my favorite styles and trends for spring. Because if you know me, you know I'm kind of obsessed with shoes. And by kind of obsessed, I mean head over heels. You're going to love these shoes. So snag super cute styles like cute flats, fun heels, and cool sneakers from the Paige DeSorbo collection right now at your DSW store or dsw.com.
Catch the new Hulu original comedy Mid-Century Modern from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When three best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. Shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
9 to noon.
Time for two more.
Good stuff.
Just listen.
Double doink.
Tell those damn guys from KFAN I don't want to hear any more these guys.
Thank you.
Copyright Dan Barrero. L.
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, it finished with a flourish and a flurry.
30 seconds left in overtime. Matt Boldy off a Johansson pass, left it back for the Swedish-born Marcus Johansson to open the scoring tonight. Johansson carries in, got past Gauthier. Johansson left it back, Boldy faked the shot, wristed one, he scores! Matt Boldy wins in overtime! The Wild pour off the bench to Marc-Andre Fleury, and they're heading to the playoffs in style with a 3-2 win.
Go on with that, Joey O'Donnell. Nice call, my brother. An excellent effort by the hockey team. The playoff-bound Minnesota Wild, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, state of hockey. Elite Hockey Minds. Ever see a team score a game winner and everybody skates to the goalie and not to the Boldy to celebrate? Wow. And 9 to noon, cannot wait to chat with playoff-bound Wild head coach John Hynes to ask him that question, because that's what happened last night, and it was powerful. Matt Boldy beats Anaheim in overtime, and the team skated over to Marc-Andre Fleury, who entered the game for overtime and gave the fans a sterling 4.5 minutes in what could be the final St. Paul performance of his HOF career. Hynesy at 9:45, but we begin with some football. And joining us now, representing
PFT,
one of our very favorites, Mike Florio. And Mike, good morning. We appreciate the audible acceptance with the time, my friend. And here's how we'd like to grease the wheels of your acquiescing. Ladies and gentlemen, right now at Amazon.com, You can buy the Kindle edition of Mike's books, Father of Mine and Son of Mine, for just 99 cents each. That's absolutely amazing. What's going on, Mike?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And by the way, I am closing in on a deal to do audio versions of the two books that I apparently will be narrating. I'm not quite sure what I'm getting myself into. I did a test chapter, and it was a pain in the ass. And there are many chapters in these books because they're short chapters aimed at moving quickly and creating the impression of page turning because the chapters are short. But I just hate long chapters when I read, so I like to write chapters short and read chapters short. So regardless, there could be another way, to the extent that you don't like to actually put your eyes on the page or on the screen and you'd rather hear it. That's coming.
I'll do it for you for $1,000. Any interest?
Well, I'd have to go back and rewrite the book to add a few references to He's Loose and maybe a This Is Not Detroit or two just to make it even more fun.
I understand. By the way...
the season can end like this.
Well, due to the Audible acceptance...
The chapter can end like this.
The acceptance of the Audible with the time and everything, and Amazon.com, and 99 cents with the Kindle for Father of Mine and Son of Mine.
Basically the cost of one egg.
Right. Is there anything else that we need to know from a paperback standpoint or paperback writer or hardcover or anything?
I mean, I appreciate devoting the top of your show to something that maybe two of your reviewers care about, but Friend of Mine is going to be the next book in the series. That's coming hopefully later this year. I've got a few other things going on. Right now, my entire non-football fiction creating mini industry consists of a bunch of plates that are spinning, and I'm hoping that, you know, some of them will spin their way onto your phone or your bookshelf or your collection of audiobooks. So we keep working. It's fun. I enjoy doing it. It balances me out. It's something I do for a couple of hours each day at the end of the day, and I'm just going to keep going. And one of these days I'm going to have 20 or 30 books, and hopefully just by the law of averages, one of them won't suck.
We got out of that one alive, boys. Here we go, Paul! Now, when it comes to football, Colorado stud Travis Hunter. I've been excited to chat with you about this since I read it yesterday at ProFootballTalk.com. How serious is his threat? He'd quit football before not being permitted to play both offense and cornerback. And what do you think about all this?
Well, I don't think it's a real threat. Is he going to turn down the money that a team will have given him? He'd have to pay it back at that point. Let's play this out. He gets drafted, signs a contract, goes to camp, says, I want to play both ways. They say, no, you're only playing offense or defense, and we decide which it's going to be. And he says, I retire. First thing he's got to do is pay back what will be a very sizable signing bonus with taxes, and then he's got to go to the IRS and get his taxes back. Like, he's not going to do that. But the fact that he said this, that if he had to choose one or the other, he would choose to retire, I can only assume that that message has been communicated to the various teams with whom he's spoken. And I hope that anyone who drafts him is willing to let him try to be the first true two-way player in decades. It's widely regarded that Chuck Bednarik of the Eagles was the last one to truly play two ways on a full-time basis. Let him try. John Harbaugh, the Ravens coach, yesterday said there aren't enough hours in the day to prepare to be a two-way player. Let him try, because he needs to come to the conclusion on his own. I remember when I went from high school to college. High school's easy, college is going to be easy, everything's going to be fine. I'm going to go, and it's kind of a tough school, that's fine, I'll be fine. And then you get kicked in the ass and you realize this is not fun, this is not easy. You find that out on your own. So many things we have to learn on our own. We don't want to hear it from someone else. And when you look at a football player who has been highly successful, who has had a ton of confidence in his abilities, and his confidence has always been validated by his performance, he's not going to shirk from a challenge. He's going to assume he will master it. I say let him. If you draft him, Browns at number 2, let him. And I think the bottom line is any team that's been talking to him knows that they better let him try and come to the conclusion on his own, because if they don't, if they pigeonhole him without giving him a chance to flourish in both capacities, they're going to have a problem with Travis Hunter.
That's a cool answer. Now, Pat Shurmur, his offensive coordinator at Colorado, he joined the 9 to noon show the first day of the scouting combine. So we're talking, several weeks ago. And I asked him about Hunter and practice. And granted, college football dramatically different than the pros. But Travis spent the majority, if not all of his time with the offensive group. So it's not like he didn't run around with the defense at all, but the majority of his time went to knowing what was coming with Shedeur offensively. So if he's going to backpedal and blitz and do all that kind of stuff defensively and then practice, I just don't see how it possibly can be done from a practice standpoint and somebody thinking they're going to play 100 plays a game.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. It's going to be a challenge. I just hope someone lets him do it. He needs to come to the conclusion on his own that I can't do it. Let's let him try.
Yeah, I like that.
There aren't enough hours in the day. Let him find out. If he's willing to fully commit himself to his craft on both sides of the ball, let him do it. Because, Paul, I think that in this day and age, we would all benefit from someone who inspires us. And it would be inspirational to many to see a guy who has committed fully, is devoting the time, is mastering both sides of the ball. Chris Sims has Travis Hunter as the number 1 receiver and the number 2 corner in the same draft. It's amazing to think there's a guy who is good enough at both and who has performed well enough at both to be at the top of the stack in both. Let's not tell him what he can't do. Let's let him try to show us what he can do. Because if he does, it'll be good for him, and I think it'll be good for the rest of us. Because I think we all could use, especially in these times, someone who inspires us to be better than we are.
Does everything we're discussing, and the draft 8 days away, first round at least, does that make Travis the most polarizing player in the draft, or is Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders and where he potentially goes equally as polarizing?
Well, for Travis Hunter, it's not polarizing as it relates to the fact that he's one of the top prospects. Yeah. The issues will arise once he lands with the team, and it's going to be a story that keeps on giving as April yields to May, yields to June, yields to July, and beyond. What is Travis Hunter doing? How is he going to be used? Think about the games of the Cleveland Browns or the New York Giants or whoever gets him, and I think it'll be either the Browns or the Giants, and it's likely the Browns at this point. What's he going to do? Oh, here comes the defense. Where's Travis Hunter? Oh, he wasn't out there for the first snap. Oh, here he comes out onto the field. It's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be a storyline that a team needs to be ready to embrace. If you want the player, you get everything that goes along with it, including that. Now, for Shedeur Sanders, there's this question of where he fits in round 1. And I'll see these reports, like Albert Breer had something where he talked to evaluators, and it's hard to find anyone that sees him as a first-rounder. I don't care what the evaluators say.
Yeah.
Because you know what happens when it's time to start calling off names in round 1? Owners get involved. And owners understand, you know what? I need a franchise quarterback. I need a guy who's going to be a 10 to 15-year starter. I'm willing to take the risk because they ain't going to fire me if it doesn't work out. I might have to fire my coach and GM if my decision to foist upon them this quarterback who doesn't pan out. But I want this guy, and that's how you can have a guy overdrafted as a quarterback. Think back to 2011, although Vikings fans may not want to. Jake Locker at 8, Blaine Gabbert at 10, Christian Ponder at 12.
Yeah.
All overdrafted.
Mm-hmm.
And all, now at least Gabbert is still collecting a check, or at least he was, I think, as of last year, but none of them panned out as starting quarterbacks. None of them became franchise quarterbacks. And the only saving grace for the Vikings, they're the only team of the 3 that didn't take their quarterback with J.J. Watt still on the board.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, and NBC's Football Night in America. Just a couple here to close. By the way, at ProFootballTalk.com, it's still there. Cool piece on Emmitt Smith. Tired of hearing, go Birds, wherever he goes. Obviously talking about the Eagles, but doesn't this signify truly how frustrated Cowboys fans and even former players are because they just haven't mattered in a long time?
Well, and Emmitt has been more and more candid and pointed about it in recent years. One of my favorite stats is that for the first 30 Super Bowls, The Cowboys played 16 times in the game to get to the Super Bowl. That's more than half of the first 30. And if they fail to get to the NFC Championship this year, in the season of Super Bowl 60, they will be 0 for 30. After going 16 for 30 to get to the semifinal game, they're 0 for 30. It's unbelievable. It really is remarkable. And one of the things that occurred to me while I was writing that up about Emmitt Smith, they really needed a running back last year. They need one this year. And they were criticized for not pursuing Derrick Henry, who wanted to go to the Cowboys, and they basically didn't give him the time of day. Why didn't they get in the Saquon Barkley thing? The Giants get dragged for that all the time. Anybody could have had Saquon Barkley. Could you imagine what Barkley could have done with the Cowboys?
Wow.
And do we really think the Eagles win the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley? So the Cowboys have made a lot of mistakes, and one of the reasons they weren't in position to get Saquon Barkley, why? They drag their feet when it comes to paying their star players. Look, they're good at drafting good players. They're horrible at managing the cap from the standpoint of getting deals done so they have more cap space quickly. They'd rather drag their feet because they think that's going to get them a better deal with a star player, and it usually blows up in their face. And they're doing it again now with Micah Parsons.
All right, lastly, so what's Aaron Rodgers waiting for? I mean, the Steelers begin off-season workouts next week. Truly, is there any reason to think he'll be there or even on that team?
Well, there's just a few explanations. Let's say that he's planning to join the Steelers, but he just wants to skip the off-season program. He wants to go to Egypt or Peru or wherever. There's a way to get that word out so people know what's coming. He is going to sign with the Steelers. He just wants to skip the off-season program, but he hasn't done that. So that tells me that's not the explanation. Then there's the explanation that he's leaning Steelers, but he's not really committed, and he wants to see what happens with the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy. So that would make sense, and I guess it doesn't make sense to put that out there so bluntly because it makes the Steelers look like second choice. It puts pressure on the situation in Minnesota. It just seems presumptuous. It's not good to put that out there. So the fact that he's waiting and we don't know the reason maybe points to that. Then there's the other wrinkle that came to life on Friday when all of a sudden we find out Derek Carr has a shoulder injury that might knock him out for the season. You never know when a guy's going to get hurt. And I don't like to name names because then if the guy gets injured, I jinxed him by saying it out loud. But we all know who the true franchise quarterbacks are. We know who are the guys who are with teams that have Super Bowl aspirations, realistic, not pie-in-the-sky, phony baloney, implausible Super Bowl expectations. You get a short-list franchise quarterback, a season-ending injury, all of a sudden the window maybe opens for Aaron Rodgers. So he's got to decide how long he wants to wait to see if another opportunity emerges. But it's just weird at this point. And if it was as simple as he's going to sign with the Steelers after the offseason program, he just doesn't want to do the offseason program, he doesn't think he needs it, et cetera, there's no reason not to get that out there because that would put a lot of people at ease. Right now it just is weird, and it continues to be weird. And there's no news, but the fact that there's no news is news. It's odd. And there's still the chance he retires. There's still the chance he never plays again. We just don't know. And he doesn't like to share that stuff. And in the absence of information, what are we going to do? We're going to speculate. And that's what we're doing because we otherwise have no idea what he's planning to do.
Hey, have a great Easter weekend with you and your family. Thanks for the time, and we'll call you next week.
Thanks, Paul. See you.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. Yeah, you know we.
PFT.
All right, here we go now. Courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes several segments celebrating and discussing the Minnesota Wild hooking the Las Vegas Golden Knights in round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The first game is Sunday there. Second game Tuesday there. Tickets on sale today for home games, single game tickets at 10 a.m., wild.com. Joe Smith from The Athletic joins around the corner. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, is going to slide 9 to noon into his busy schedule today at 9:45. And KG, Kevin Gorg, beloved Gorgomatic, Senor Spotty, about 11 o'clock. He was on ice last night after the game during that celebration. And holy cow, what a wonderful scene at XL Energy Center last night. From a football standpoint, make sure you're here at 10 for divisional doom drafting. It involves the other teams in the division. The Sultan of Smug joins about 10:30. And from a Timberwolves standpoint, Minnesotan Mike Trudell, Orono Go Crazy. He's a reporter for the Los Angeles Lakers. He works with the team. And Mike Trudell will join a couple of hours from now. That's all courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. That's what's on deck 9 to noon, which also includes us comping you tickets to the Vikings draft party a week from Thursday. More on that later, but for now, here comes Nordo, the producer of 9 to noon, to do that cash thing.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. So go to KFAN.com, use the keyword check, and you might win $1,000. Maybe it comes in check form. The keyword is check, KFAN.com.
Catch the new Hulu original comedy, Mid-Century Modern, from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When three best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. Bunny, Jerry, and Arthur are already close friends. But when they decide to live together, it's a new chapter with a new family. And speaking of family, don't forget Bunny's mom, Sybil, who's along for the ride. Whether it's a trip to Fire Island or a local congresswoman with a wild side, these roomies know how to do it with style. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. So shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. A new comedy with heart, soul, and sass. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
The Fan.
Can they pull off the magic again? Spurgeon to Kaprizov. Half-minute left. Ripped along. Eric Sinek tips it in. Back is Hellison. Eric Sinek to try and bother him. Hellison rimmed it around. Zuccarello got a piece of it. Threw one in front. Into the back post. Stop, they score! Joe Eric Sinek! He ties the game! 20.9 seconds to go! And the Wild are that far from a Stanley Cup playoff berth!
It's time to drop the puck!
And that playoff berth will take place against the Las Vegas Golden Knights, a team that beat the Wild 3 times this season. And to talk about that and much more is Joe Smith with The Athletic. At Joe Smith NHL is how you follow him via the X Machine, and covers the Wild for The Athletic with Russo Radio. And here comes Joe. Joe, it's Paul Allen. Thanks for the help, man. What a doozy last night, right?
Oh, it's incredible. I think, PA, what I love about sports and covering sports is you can go to the rink or the ballpark and see something you've never seen before, right? Or just everything's kind of could be like theater. And that's how last night played out of, 20 seconds away from the Wild potentially missing the playoffs the way Calgary's been playing to the emotional shift of them tying it up, the fans going crazy, and then, of course, Marc-Andre Fleury getting his kind of unexpected swan song there in overtime. So much to unpack from that game, and it's hard to believe that a game-tying, season-saving goal could be overshadowed by something, but when it's Fleury, it can be.
Joe laid it out nicely, as the scribe is wont to do. Let's unpack a little of it.
Little puck talk.
So for those of you who missed it last night, kind of a super sleepy night at XL Energy Center. Very important game for the Wild. Then Eriksson Ek blew the roof off the building with the playoff ceiling equalizer, and his guttural scream could be heard from St. Paul to Las Vegas. Now, so like Joe said, all right, so there it is. I mean, he went crazy, and the building went crazy too. Then Marc-Andre Fleury steals the show by entering for overtime, and it was at the suggestion of starting goaltender Gus Bus, and Fleury secures the final win of his HOF career. He teared up at the end of his post-game interview. Boldy scored the game winner. And Joe, have you ever seen, because you've seen a lot, man, have you ever seen somebody score a game winner like Boldy and all the players skate over to the goalie? I mean, so awesome.
I mean, it's so fitting, and I don't think Boldy minded one bit, and Boldy had a hell of a game. Like, he had the game-tying set-up assist to Eck and the game winner, and the first focus, no matter what happened, that game was over, was Marc-Andre Fleury, and like you all saw it, right? Like the Ducks lined up the handshake line, and then the standing ovation for forever, and the guys, teammates got in a circle for some stick taps, and kind of bowed to him at the end. And, that whoever fan got the jersey off of Flowers' back, for the fan appreciation night got one heck of a milestone memento there, too. But just such a incredible, classy touch by Gustafson to have the wherewithal to go to the bench after that moment to tie the game and before overtime and go tell John Hynes, like, hey, we got a point, we're in, right? You want to put Flower in there? And he's like, great idea. And so they did. It just shows the relationship between Gustafson and Fleury and how much Fleury has really helped Gustafson, have such a bounce back year and turn the number one goalie everyone thought he could be. And so I think that just kind of a selfless gesture, and it meant a lot. It meant the world to Fleury, and it meant the world to, I'm sure, a lot of the Wild fans got to see that one.
Joe Smith, The Athletic, theathletic.com, talking about the playoff-bound Minnesota Wild. Coach John Hynes joins about 15 minutes from now. How fired up was Flower during overtime? Seriously. I mean, he gives the fans the two-pad stack, made a couple of sterling saves, shoved a duck in front of the net super hard, and the ref looked, I watched it on TV, the ref looked at the duck and was like, nah, I think we're going to let that one go. How much did the crowd seem to embrace the Fleury moment?
Well, I mean, of course, then he had to face a power play 20 seconds in, right? He's been sitting there cold for 2 hours and 2 starts the last 21 days, and here comes a power play in overtime, season any game. So, but I think it was just funny how he used every one of his signature moves like a highlight reel in the last 4 minutes, 42 seconds maybe of his career, right? The two-pad stack, the poke check to stop another chance, the kissing or patting the post and saying thank you in English and French like he always does.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like he saved all that stuff for one highlight reel and to show, that's how he wanted to end it. And I think he hopes to play again, of course, in the playoffs, and who knows if he will, and maybe in Vegas when the former team. But if he doesn't play again, I think that's kind of one of those like the Michael Jordan shot in Utah, right? The last chance the last memory you have of him on the ice will be that.
Yeah, that was Byron Russell there, and kind of like Jordan against Cleveland with Craig Elo. I mean, those are great calls. Joe Smith, at Joe Smith NHL. Zuki, there's just so much. I mean, I'm going to say Brock Faber for the head coach about 15 minutes from now in his 9 shots last night, just how paramount he was to what's happening. Right, but Zuki and Boldy's passes to Eriksson Ek with 22 seconds left. I mean, you talk about poise, because the whole thing potentially is on the line, and they handled it with aplomb, and they were fabulous, and now the team gets the Golden Knights in the first round. Just quick twitch. I know there's more work to do on it, but what do you think of that pairing?
Well, obviously they had been a tough matchup for the Wild this year. They lost all 3. I think most of them have been on back end to back, so. It's a lot of times it's when you play a team versus, who you play. And I think it'll be interesting now that the Wild are healthy for the first time since mid-November. Kaprizov has looked good since he came back. Eriksson Ek obviously has looked better since he's been back. The goaltending situation is pretty much settled with Gustafson there. So it'll be a really tough matchup. I mean, they're a team that has a lot of Cup champions on their roster. Jack Eichel's one of the best centers and the best forwards in the world. They're a tough team to beat, especially in their building. But, I don't guess you pick your poison, right? You'd rather play them or Winnipeg. I don't know. There's a lot of tough teams in that Western Conference. But I think that the Wild kind of feel with kind of the, new lease on life of making the playoffs and everybody being healthy the first time in a while, and just kind of the vibes after the last couple wins in Saturday in Vancouver in this game have to have them feeling pretty good going into a playoffs.
Yeah, and Vegas has beaten Minnesota 14 of the last 19, including in that playoff series a couple of seasons ago. I think that was 4-2, something like that, 4-3.
I went to Game 7, I think in 21, the bubble season, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right, that 4-3. Now, you mentioned those back-to-backs. I mean, when Eichel got the hat trick and they beat him 5-1, Wild still down Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek. They're on a back. It was a very tough patch, man. You're at Dallas. You look sluggish against Dallas. You fly home. You play the Golden Knights the next night, and you got dusted. But if you go back to mid-December, the Wild, granted, was on a back-to-back, having beaten Philadelphia at XL Energy Center, I think on a Thursday. then played Vegas with Kaprizov. That was when Kaprizov was the star of all stars of the NHL at that time, this side of Ovi, man. I think, he had like 20 or 22 goals at that point after 2 that night. That was a 3-2 meat grinder. I mean, I think that game right there, it typifies, now granted the Wild lost, but typified how they can play Vegas, even on a back-to-back, when they have their horses. Eriksson Ek didn't play that night. But what do you think of that? Do you think the Wild, with like when John Hynes joins in 15 minutes, my final question for him is going to be, win or lose, this sets up nicely for you. You have all your best players in 4.5 days to prepare. So, I mean, really no excuses moving forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't guarantee you anything, especially, in this market. But I think, considering all the circumstances of where they could have been, you're right. Like, being healthy and the vibes of winning 2 straight games like this to get in, playing playoff hockey pretty much the last 2-3 weeks, handling kind of adversity that they have is really kind of giving kind of those little kind of scar tissue that I think teams need to kind of find their way through a postseason series. Maybe that kind of eluded them in the past, even when they were up a game against Dallas a couple of years ago, weren't able to kind of finish it off in that essence. Maybe this kind of year they've gone up and down from thinking they were going to win the league as far as top of the conference to all of a sudden the lows of worrying about making the playoffs down to the last 20 seconds of their season. So you're right, just having the healthy team, having 4 days, guys can rest and recover. You have a couple practices in. You fly to Vegas on Friday, practice there Saturday, and have a matinee on Sunday. And, they're playing, no one's expecting the Wild to all of a sudden go to the Stanley Cup final. Maybe they have a little less pressure on them, but I know there's a lot of pride in that room of guys who've been around the team for a long time that want to get over that hump badly. And, playoffs are crazy. I've seen crazy things happen. So that's what'll be fun to watch and fun to cover.
Now the 19-year-old rookie defenseman from DU, Z Boyum. Joe wrote a really good story at The Athletic, just really detailing why Boyum was not in the lineup and didn't play last night. TheAthletic.com to read that. So with time to prepare and practice, what do you expect with and or from Z Boyum, the 19-year-old blue liner?
I think he'll get a chance to play in this series. I don't know if it'll be game 1. I think it'll be kind of one of those first out of the bullpen kind of deals. Well, they'll give him a chance to have his first full team practice will be Thursday. Full practices, get him used to everything. And maybe if there's an injury, maybe if they need a kind of a momentum swing or something change in their lineup after a game. He's a guy who can definitely play at this level. The coaches and the teammates know how talented he is. It was just a hard situation to put him in yesterday, the season on the line the way it was, and down to the last 20 seconds of their season for every little mistake makes such a huge difference. They didn't want to put that much pressure on him with no practice and no time with the team. And I think there's a chance he plays in this series. Maybe John Hynes will give you a better answer in 20 minutes, but this guy's going to be a really good player for a long, long time. It doesn't matter when his first game with the Wild is.
How for your trained eye, Joe? How has Kaprizov looked since returning? Is and I know he had those goals in the San Jose 8-7, but just overall, now that we have several on the past performances, how do you think he looks, and is he drawing a lot of attention?
Well, he's certainly drawing a lot of attention. I think he's getting better as more games have gone on here. He's always said he needs kind of more of a runway after some injuries to get himself kind of ready to play his game completely. But I think you saw last night, like they were playing him a lot, and he was relentless and on the puck and showing some desperation. And obviously, I think, like the rest of the team, he'll be looking for making his mark in this postseason for the Minnesota Wild. So clearly an injury that was bothering him for a good part of the season, had the surgery, and not going to be all of a sudden 100% overnight, but the encouraging thing is he had several games under his belt before the playoffs that could maybe help him with his timing and his rhythm. And, he looked good to me last night.
Lastly, Gustafsson, Gus Bus, just from the bottom of your heart, man, and I know he's played well, really, really well of late, obviously. How much do you trust Buss and the defenders in front of him against Eichel and that group coming up Sunday?
Well, I mean, I think Gustafsson has shown a lot overall this year. He wanted a little bit of a reset last summer. You know, they had a plan for him conditioning-wise, training-wise in Sweden. He came in great shape. And I think what struck me most is mentally this year, being able to put away maybe a good or a bad goal or a bad outing and shrug it off and be able to move forward. And mentally, it's so important as a goalie to have that mental strength. And he's learned a lot, I think, from Marc-Andre Fleury in that aspect of how Fleury handles the ups and downs of the season, being a number one. And, you know, this has been a really huge year for Gustafsson. And I think he's, you know, ready and motivated for the playoffs too, of you know, it's fully his net now. A couple of years ago, he started game one. I think Flower started game two, and back and forth. This is his net right now, and I think he is ready to kind of deliver in a postseason kind of situation in a very tough series, no doubt.
Awesome job at The Athletic as usual of late. Thank you very much for joining the radio show, specifically on relatively short notice. And safe travels, my brother. We'll talk soon.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
See ya. That's Joe Smith with The Athletic and theathletic.com at Joe Smith NHL. Talking about several fantastic moments last night, including 22 seconds left. The Wild secure a playoff berth. Here comes Marc-Andre Fleury to play in overtime at the suggestion of the starting goaltender, not the head coach, the starting goaltender, beloved Buss. And it just was one of several beautiful moments last night at XL Energy Center. Hockey is such a beautiful sport. And it's not just a beautiful sport in that, stylistically speaking, it's fun to watch and then the sounds of hockey and everything. Hockey is the classiest of all the pro sports. And here's why. And yes, I know there are fights every night. NHL players' appreciation for the history of the game and the stars who paved the way is second to none. Serious props to the Anaheim Ducks last night, all right? Losers of 3 in a row, frustrated, going nowhere, at Winnipeg tonight, one game from the free will of the postseason. And what do? After they lose, they wait for the Wild to finish celebrating Fleury's moment and line up to shake his hand and say, appreciate you, man. Great career. HOF. Appreciate you, ma'am. Greatly. What a beautiful career you've had, Marc-Andre Fleury. No other sport does that, and it's a shame. When Ovi was here and took the L with his Caps, he was celebrated and received standing ovations from the St. Paul crowd all night. Yet when the game ended and pissed off Caps were scurrying to the locker room, Ovechkin yelled for all of them to return to the ice. Why? To line up and thank Marc-Andre Fleury for his amazing career and contributions to the game. I wish from the bottom of my heart, football, baseball, and basketball would do something like this when immortality steps away, or handshake lines at the ends of playoff series. Hockey is sheer class with its reverence for immortality and history of the game. And it's a beacon compared to the others, which at times are swimming in a sea of narcissism. Minnesota Wild head coach John Hynes, next.
Catch the new Hulu original comedy, Mid-Century Modern, from the creators of Will and Grace, executive producer Ryan Murphy, and director James Burrows. When 3 best friends move in together, Palm Springs will never be the same. Bunny, Jerry, and Arthur are already close friends. But when they decide to live together, it's a new chapter with a new family. And speaking of family, don't forget Bunny's mom, Sybil, who's along for the ride. Whether it's a trip to Fire Island or a local congresswoman with a wild side, these roomies know how to do it with style. They're fun, they're fabulous, and they're turning life's lemons into spiked lemonade. So shake up a batch of cocktails, relax by the pool, and get ready for some serious shade. A new comedy with heart, soul, and sass. Mid-Century Modern stars Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, and Linda Lavin. All episodes of Mid-Century Modern are now streaming on Hulu.
Man.
Seconds to go. Lacobe to Gudas. Hacked it out the center. 3 seconds left. And that is going to do it. The Minnesota Wild are headed to the Stanley Cup playoffs for the 14th time in team history. As they tie it in the final moments, they eliminate the Calgary Flames in the process. And 2-2 going overtime is enough for Minnesota.
That's unbelievable.
Coach Hynes, Wild coach John Hynes, playoff-bound head coach John Hynes. It's Paul Allen on KFAN. How are you?
Good, TA. How you doing, man?
Excellent chatting with you, Hynesy. Thanks for making the time on short notice. It's greatly appreciated around here. And you allowed yourself a fist pump on the bench when Eric Zinek scored the goal with 22 seconds left. And viewing it from afar, Coach, it just felt like the weight of the world was lifted from those shoulders, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so much work and effort that goes in, and just I really enjoy coaching the team. Honored to coach the group of guys that we have, and to be able to punch the ticket was something obviously that was a goal of ours. It was tough to get the fish in the boat, so to speak, coming down the stretch, but to be able to get that done was certainly exciting.
Competitive stamina. You said it last night, and I've heard you say it before. That's the mantra of your team, right? I mean, Vancouver, and then last night, and now on to the playoffs. These guys care about all this a lot, don't they?
Oh, they certainly do. And what was most gratifying was one of the things we talked about. Changing from last year coming into this year was playing our best in high stakes games, playing our best when it mattered the most, having mental toughness. Like, we needed to become a mentally tougher group, and competitive stamina is a big part of that. And I just think it's a little bit fitting that it took us, the 82nd game of the year with 20 seconds left in, but stayed focused, executed at a key moment in the game to be able to get it done that way. Was certainly gratifying, and credit to the players. And
speaking of competitive stamina, it's Brock Faber is one of the best he's become one of the best blue liners in the world. All right. And despite his age, and the 33 and a half minutes at Vancouver, holy cow, second most of any NHL player this year. Then he got you 9 shots last night. I mean, he was just dead set to give everything he had to make sure things went right for your squad. What about Brock Faber of late?
Yeah, Brock's been everything you just said. I mean, he's such a competitive kid, and it's when I say it's an honor to coach this team and these guys, like Brock's kind of typifies that. Like, he's a young player, he's got tremendous talent, but just his care factor, his will to win, his competitive stamina, the way that he can play. The way that he's been able to play in high stakes environments is, you just love it's an honor to coach guys like that. And it's such a great thing, I think, for him and his experience moving forward, but also for the organization. So
Coach Hynes, it was Gus. It was your starting goaltender who came to you and said, give Flower the net for overtime. What a classy gesture, right?
Yeah, it was. I think that speaks volumes of their relationship, and I think the tightness of the group. And it was by Gus. He comes off the bench right away, and you're in that moment. You're preparing for the 3-on-3, and he comes up and he's like, "Hey, coach, do you think we could put Flower in so he can get the win?" And we both looked at Flower and said. He's like, really? And we're, yeah. And Gus is like, yeah. And then Flower goes in, and he's, epic Flower as well.
Right. I mean, he gave everybody a show. I mean, you had the 2-pad stack. He shoved the duck aggressively in front of him on the power play. Ref looks at it and kind of thought like, nah, not this one. So what? Yeah. What? I mean, it was unbelievable. That's a borderline penalty. What he did. Ref's looking right at it like, nah, you ain't going to get this one. What'd you think of the moment and how the crowd reacted with Marc-Andre Fleury?
Special. It was, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he goes in from sitting in the game for 60 minutes and then, just jumps on the ice and, kicks his pads a little bit, warms up quick, goes in and then makes some huge saves and winds up finding a way to win a game. And, obviously the crowd response for him was ultra special. I think for him, his family, for the team, it just shows how much, he's respected inside and outside of the locker room.
Hey, and weird moment for a coach in overtime. I mean, Eriksson Ek scores with 22 seconds to go, so you're going to the playoffs, but you still got to play overtime. Here comes Flower and HOF, crowd's going nuts. He had to kill a power play for his swan song, which made the excellent moment even better. And so are you able to look the other way on the Ek penalty and just appreciate everything that happened in overtime?
Yeah, exactly. I think at that point, it's so much that was going on in those 5 to 10 minutes between the last 20 seconds of the game, plus Flower going in, then the penalty, then killing it, then at the end of the kill, Bolds going down, or Johansson coming up, flying up the ice and makes the play to Bolds, and he finishes. It was all there was a lot going on there.
Right, and it was Zuccarello and Boldy before the Eriksson Ek goal, and I mean, it's tenuous, man, because ain't nobody scoreboard watching with 22 seconds to go. Nobody cares about Calgary or St. Louis at that moment. They only care about what's in front of them. And Zuccarello and Boldy had to stay so poised to get it to Joel Eriksson Ek. I mean, that's fantastic, just how calm they were, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, from the inside the game and actually, the play that Zuccarello made to pull the puck off the wall to get it to Boldy, that's next level stuff. Like that's a high level of skill, poise. It doesn't seem like a difficult play, but it's a difficult play to be able to pull that thing, get it, and then execute the pass. And then Bolds has got the poise to pop it back to Eki. That's big-time players making big-time plays at a key time.
When John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, they hook Las Vegas in the playoffs. It begins Sunday and Tuesday for the first 2 games, and they'll be on KFAN. When Eriksson Ek scored with 22 seconds left, is that the loudest you've heard the building since you started coaching here?
Yeah, you know what? I would say even leading up to that, when the puck started, when we started to come up the ice at the end there, it felt like it did feel like a playoff environment. Everyone's standing, the crowd is loud, and then obviously when we scored, the building erupted, and it was that's the loudest I've heard it leading up to the goal, and then obviously after the goal. And
you're going to need that energy when they get back here next week. It's the Wild and Vegas in round 1. Single game tickets on sale at wild.com 5 minutes from now. Wild.com single game tickets at 10 a.m. Do the coaches get together today and start scheming Vegas?
Yeah, we got right after this. We got a meeting here at 10 o'clock, and then we'll start getting rolling today and kind of put our preparation in place of what we're going to do, with the guys tomorrow and practice wise and video wise, and then kind of prepare it, moving forward until Sunday.
When you say you really, really enjoy coaching these guys, what is it, John, that distinguishes this group from others you have led during your career?
I just think their willingness to be a team, and they work tremendously hard. They come every day. I think there's a great relationship between the coaches and players, but that has to come from both sides. They're a group that sticks together. They come to work every day. They're an easy group to coach, just in the sense that you're not, when it's time to work, they work. When it's time to have a good time, they have a good time. And I just enjoy the leadership of the team. I think that they're great to communicate with. They give you honest feedback. They tell you things that maybe sometimes you don't want to hear, which I really appreciate. And it's just, when you have a group that can battle the way that they've battled and the way they go about their business every day, it's a pleasure and an honor to coach them.
John, what can you do with the 19-year-old Z Boyum this week to get him ready for the playoffs if you are so inclined to use him?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I'll just give you a little example. He came in, he didn't have any practices, and it's a whole new experience for him. So, he got in, we had him come to, he sat in all our meetings. He came to the game yesterday, sat in our pregame meetings, penalty kill meeting, team meeting, give him a feel of, how we do things, what it's like on a game day, what he can be prepared for when he gets in the lineup. And then after that at 5:30, after all those things were done, Jack Capuano sat down with them and we went through, hey, here's our system. Tell us what you did at Denver. Here's our systems. Is there any different tweaks? So now he's got a good feel of, hey, these things are similar to how I played, or this is a little bit different. So you're just indoctrinating him into, okay, what's the environment like, putting him into the team. Now he's got a few days of practice and we'll see where it goes from there. It's all about just trying to, take a young player, who's highly talented, give him the necessary tools to feel comfortable and get ingrained in the team, and then we'll make our decisions as we move forward.
And in fairness, like you guys, man, he's off quite the grind with that DU season, the banquets and everything. I just wonder how fresh his legs are, heading into this next stage. Any idea?
I think he'll be good. I mean, he's a young guy, and obviously he's had some time to get through those things, but also he's now kind of processing and getting ingrained in where we're at and what we're doing. And I think that's really important mentally for a young player. But I think as far as his energy and his legs and things like that, I think he'll be fine. Those guys are, he's got young legs.
All right, last one, because I don't want to be the reason you're late for a 10 o'clock meeting. Jack Eichel's on the horizon. Win or lose, this sets up nicely for you guys, doesn't it? I mean, you have all your best players and 4.5 days to prepare. So how do you feel about that and the series coming up?
I feel good about it. I mean, it's going to be there's no easy games in the playoffs. You're down to 16 teams. Everybody's good. Everybody's strong. So for us, it's just making sure that our guys, get themselves ready to go physically and mentally, and we'll do our part as coaches to try to present the things that we feel are going to give us a competitive advantage and things that we need to be aware of for them, and take each day as it comes, and whether that's a practice day or a meeting day or a treatment day or leading up to the game day, we gotta win that day and stay focused in the moment and get ourselves ready to play playoff hockey, which is another level of the regular season. If you win Sunday, John, are you going to buy the team and traveling staff steak dinners at Mastro's Monday night? I think maybe I'll leave that one to Billy. Okay. I'll tell Billy not to forget the butter cake. It's second to none. All right. Hey, man, I felt really good for you guys last night. Best of luck in the postseason. I'm sure I'll chat with you next week. All right? All right. Thanks, PA. Talk to you, man. See you, bud. John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild. That was fantastic. Excellent night last night. And again, I give covenant claps to the Anaheimers for waiting around during the celebration for the handshakes with Marc-Andre Fleury. That was very, very touching. NFL draft a week from tomorrow. The NFL draft being a week from tomorrow is very cool unless the division rivals get exactly who they want and when they want them. We're going to hit that around the corner. You're listening tonight.
Hello, darlings. Pack your suitcase for a new season of the Hulu original reality series Vanderpump Villa.
Let's do this. Ciao, it's Stassi. Of course Lisa brought in her favorite to be resident chaperone of the castle.
Stassi is an icon.
She's my eyes and ears.
I love this.
Get ready for the luxury and drama that awaits us in Italy.
Cheers to all the toxic couples in the castle.
Season 2 of Vanderpump Villa premieres April 24th.
Streaming on Hulu.